Dan, we need wood. Ha ha, Dan. Wait, no, that's not the dirty part. We had need. I mean, we all need something, but that's not dirty. Ha ha, wood. There it is. I'm John Renton with the retro view of Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. Jason versus Carrie, except Carrie is played by Tina because Sissy Spacek wouldn't return our calls in a battle to the death. So yeah, basically this is a return to goofy form for the Friday the 13th Jason Voorhees influenced series of films that just got goofier with Part 8. Don't worry, I'll be retro reviewing Part 8. And then also Jason Goes to Hell. That whole movie could have gone to hell. But before that, let's talk about The New Blood. So yeah, it's the debut of Kane Hodder. That's with two D's, not two T's. So if you find him hot, good for you. He's a big, hulking individual that apparently is really, really nice in real life and has been a big, hulking figure in numerous slasher movies and really is an intimidating son of a bitch if you look at him. I mean, he's got to, at this point, be in his late 50s to near 60 at this point, but still, intimidating son of a bitch. Was recently, I believe, in Kill Her Goats, which was certainly a movie and is on the Real Honest Movie Reviews playlist. You can check out what I thought of that. Boy, can you ever. And it wasn't his fault. So yeah, this comes to us from director John Carl Breckler. And he did Ghoulies Go to College. Yes, they did a bunch of Ghoulies movies. Christ knows why. They were fucking awful. They were better than Critters. That's not saying much, though. A lot of horror movies in the 80s and early 90s got a lot of sequels. Such as this that started in 1980 and then went all the way to 1993 and then went to Freddy vs. Jason and then went to the Friday the 13th 2009 soft reboot that had Willa Ford. I remember that. Boy, do I remember her in that. They had a bunch of other pretty girls and Jason running like a linebacker. It's written by the guy who did Lords of the Deep. And also, it was written by two different people. The names really aren't that important, all due respect to them. And you have the character of Tina Shepard that ends up killing her dad when the dad is abusing the mother. And because they're on the Camp Crystal Lake grounds, she ends up using her telekinetic abilities to sink him into the water, despite the fact the dock collapses. Apparently, either he was knocked out by the rubble or was incapable of swimming, and he died. It haunts her, and then years later, adult Tina is being helped by her mother and a guy who is Dr. Cruz, played by Terry Kaiser, and he is trying to help her. He's really trying to help her. He's not doing this as a way to, essentially, like bring out her abilities and use them for his own nefarious means. Why would you think that? There's no way you could think that. And in her haste to basically overcome her guilt from killing her dad inadvertently, she ends up summoning Jason from his watery grave, and he comes back to kill a bunch of people indiscriminately in hilarious ways, including the sleeping bag kill, punching a guy through the sternum, and a few other things. And then from there, we have some pretty girls, including Elizabeth Keiton, who plays Robin, who has an incredible body, and I'm sure still does. Nevertheless, various people get killed, and then she must use her abilities, bring them out through her emotions to send Jason back to wherever the hell he came from. Why can't he go there with his own kind, is what she's saying. Oh, Tina the racist. No, nevertheless, this basically is... It was them kind of just going away from a new beginning, even though Part 6 already did that. And at the end of Part 6, Jason ended up in the water. So... fun few little facts about this. The director apparently was pissed off at the MPAA for having to make constant edits just to avoid an X rating. And considering a lot of the shit they got away with in the previous installments, I'm actually kind of amazed that they made him edit much. I mean, sure, maybe there were some way gorier parts. There were still some pretty gory parts, but there were some cutaways. And Kane Hodder's debut, so the budget was $2.8 million. That'd be $7.2 million in today's money. The opening $8.2 million, so it was already still a smash success. That would be 21.2 in today's money, and the gross of $19.1 million. Another Jason movie that got under $20 million as a gross because people were getting tired of it. Now, this may have come out in 1988, a couple years after the second part, or the sixth part, that is, and definitely a couple years after the second part, considering we're at part fucking 7. But it did end up making, which would be just under $50 million in today's money. So it was still a success. But then we get to part 8. And oh boy, part 8. You want to talk about the production there? I'll get to that. So, yeah, they do more, montages in the beginning of clips of the first 6 movies. The character, or the guy that played the character Crazy Ralph, "You're doomed, you're all doomed," was the narrator, very somber, and I believe it was the first role he had after he died. Actually, I think he lived for a number of years after this. I don't know. He looked to be about 95 in the first movie, and 200 in the second one. So, heavy edits aside, this movie really wouldn't have been good even if you had had even if you had had the gore there. There were some neat little scenes, some neat kills, but as far as the plot, you don't really care about any of the characters. There is a character of Nick, Kevin Spiritus, and he's fine, I guess. He's fine. Susan Blue, or Bleu, however you say her goddamn last name, she's in this as the mother. And, yeah, it's just... embracing the goofy side is fine. There was a paintball part in one of the previous installments. That at least mixed it well. I believe it was part 6. And I've retro-reviewed... I only have 8 and 9 left to retro-review. I even retro-reviewed Jason X. Oh boy, what fun that was. So, after her dad dies, smash cut to years later, she's an adult. Dr. Cruz is a full-on dick. I will say that, Terry plays the role perfectly. And then she ends up freeing Jason from his watery grave. There's a character, Jane. Jane, you ignorant... Not going to say that word because YouTube does tend to not like certain words, the C word, the S word being used. And then a couple is dispatched where the girl says, "Dan, we need wood." And then he gets punched through the sternum looking for wood, and then she gets slammed in the sleeping bag against a tree, which I believe Kane Hodder has said that is his favorite kill, and you can see why. And then there's a sudden romance, not a bad romance, not na 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 na. I know those aren't the words, I don't care. Between Nick and Tina. And then there's this one really bitchy blonde with a giant pearl necklace. I could make a lot of jokes there, but I'm just going to let you have those marinate in your head. And sure, piss off the telekinetic woman, it's fine. I did find it funny that at one point she gets pissed off and hurls one of those big box TVs. Like, it's still one of those smaller TVs, but it's still one of those box TVs that could require, a pretty sturdy hand to move. And she hurls it at the guy, and I noted, TV signals traveled differently in the 80s, because and not everybody had cable. Ha 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 ha. The music wasn't very good. I mean, they did have the ch-ch-ch. Besides that, though, yeah. Tina tries to get away, wrecks the car immediately. Boy, wrecked him, damn near killed him. And there's this one nerdy girl that tries to get ready for a guy, and then Jason chases her. She has her high heel shoe there because every shoe that has that design has healing thoughts. If you'll see what I did there, these puns are killing people. And then Jason busts through the wall, kills her. The doctor and the mother are running around looking for Tina. And then there's a couple black characters. "Make it fast, I'll be right back," he says. And then he gets his skull crushed. She gets killed with something. She gets killed somehow. A few of these deaths kind of blend together. And then the party just continues to go on, despite the fact that people are dying, because drink. Why the hell not drink? It's up to Nick and Tina, because the doctor at one point used the mother to block himself from getting killed with what looked like a scythe hockey stick. And Tina and Nick discover, "Oh my gosh, Jason Voorhees." Yes, Jason Voorhees. We've been watching this for a while. How are you so stupid, Tina? And then there's a limb lopper a motorized limb lopper where the guy, the doctor, ends up dying. And kind of a hilarious death, at least for me. And then we get the showdown. Finally, Nick keeps getting knocked down, but gets back up again and then gets knocked down again. And we get Tina using stop motion branches and an electrical wire as opposed to a non-electrical wire to shock Jason in a puddle. That doesn't work. Then she throws a couch at him and a potted plant. There was a cat at one point, by the way, before this. Jason tried to thank Robin, who had an incredibly nice body once again, I do want to say, from getting the cat, or for getting the cat out of the closet, and then she screamed. He's like, "Okay, sorry." Then he slams her against the stairs, and that somehow sends her through the window, despite the fact the window was over there. So yes, back to Tina using her telekinetic abilities. She brought down the house, and then sent him through the stairs, hitting him with a light. And then Jason comes back. They get into a pit in the house, and then she sets him on fire, and then baby goes higher to the sun, and then the house explodes. And then she's all freaking out because now her telekinetic abilities aren't working, but somehow she manages to get them working just in time to have the ocean bubble like before because Nick's knocked out in the boat, and her dad comes back up with chains around him. He wouldn't have been chained there. He wouldn't have been chained, but then grabs Jason and pulls him down. That was Friday the 13th, A New Blood. That is really all I have to say about that. That was certainly an ending. And now we move on to Jason taking Manhattan, except he doesn't really take Manhattan. He just takes over a cruise ship for a bit. And then eventually goes to some parts of New York, outer New York. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rentland. I'll see you soon.